Terence Crawford may retire. Good riddance, and so what? Wow. This article was sent to me, and I want to talk about it. It's an article from Paul Magno. And again, it reads, Terence Crawford may retire, ... Good riddance, so what? Right? And there's this whole notion, Eddie Hearn kind of got the ball rolling on this topic. Listen, people, I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. I'll do a deep dive and a full unpacked on this very subject because I got a lot of things to say regarding Crawford potential retirement, in this whole topic. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button. But I want to go over this article real quick. Some boxing people in the know think that Terence Bud Crawford may actually retire rather than take fights he deems as lesser bouts, right? And it's a direct quote. I don't think Crawford will fight again because I think he's made really solid money his last couple fights, promoter Eddie Hearn told Talk Sport. I don't think he wants to fight Virgil Ortiz or Jaron Boots Ennis. I think the only way Crawford will fight again is Canelo Alvarez, baby, because he's got used to that pay. He probably thinks he'll fight again, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. So inactive as well. I think he's happy to sit out until the end of next year. He'll be just waiting for a Canelo fight if it comes up. The article says, fine, good, so what? Good riddance. Hey, okay. It says, fine, good, so what? Good riddance. Yeah. This is coming from a writer who once considered himself a hardcore Terence Crawford mark or stand, as they call it now. The bad taste left behind after a legitimately feel-good moment in 2023 when he beat Errol Spence to become unified welterweight champion probably can't be washed away at this point. So let the perpetually disgruntled Bud just go away. Ooh, he cooking. Paul Magno, he cooking. If there were a world record for the time it took for a fighter to go from inspirational scrapper to insipid prima donna, Terence Bud Crawford would have smashed the record easily. Hey, the guy just started his post-fight Spence mugging media tour when he made it known that he most definitely not going to be bigger and a better kind of boxing star. Quote, listen, right now in my career, a lot of people like boots this, boots that, Crawford said during the Breakfast Club, right? Fighting Boots is a lose-lose situation. It's not a mega fight. It's going to sell a little bit because of my name. Oh, the audacity. What I accomplished, but there's nothing really at stake with Fighting Boots. Definitely 100% about the money. Not taking anything away from Boots, but where I am at in my career right now, I done fought my butt off to get where I am. I deserve to do whatever the F I want to do, and I don't care what nobody say, how anybody feel, or any of that. F them. This was just days after stopping the guy crying about being frozen out of opportunities and apparently began being the guy who freezes out others out of the opportunities. And now, just as he pined away for Errol Spence, tantruming his way to eventual big ticket fight he lusted after, he hopes to do the same with Canelo Alvarez at the expense of anything and anyone else. But the reality is that Crawford, for all his issing and grumbling and victim playing, has led a charmed professional life. He fell into the sweet ESPN deal via Top Rank, bagged ridiculously large one-fight payday with BOK Prime after leaving Top Rank, and had Errol Spence and PBC pretty much bend over backwards to bring him the biggest fight of his career. All despite, let's be honest here, never really being a draw star numbers outside of being able to draw star numbers outside of Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska. Now Crawford finds himself in the loving embrace of boxing's biggest and most generous sugar daddy, Saudi Arabian point man, Turki Al-Sheikh, who provided an exorbitant payday to headline the financial flop of a card with Madrimov this past August. But even as he's been wedged into a spot at the head of the boxing table as the new world titleist in the junior welterweight with several opportunities pretty much laid at his feet. He's still pouting ostensibly for what he doesn't have, willing to waste a career that just over a year ago he was lamenting was being wasted away. So whatever. Terence Crawford, great fighter, thrill to watch, skills and mindset. Put him in the same hallowed boxing space as legends like Sugar Ray Leonard, Hearns, Duran. But the guy's just such a drama queen and chronic buzzkill. With so many great fights he can make for himself right now, he's opted to make none. Go away then. Hey, touche. This is everything that I've been saying, and I'm so glad that other people are now saying it and seeing it, and that is the reality of it. I love this so much because when I said it, people were offended. You guys say, oh, Ego, yeah, you're a Crawford hater and all this goofy stuff. Listen, the writer of the article, I don't know him personally, Paul Magno, but he's been in the boxing game. He just told you. He says, I was one of Crawford's biggest stands, but now he's being a drama queen. This is exactly what I said. I coined the phrase bad business bud, and I'm going to make it unpacked. Do not come to the comment section crying. You cannot stop this. The unpack will be on the channel. Stay tuned. I don't care what the Bud Buddies are talking about. You are starting to see the real problem. Bob Arum received a lot of flack for how he treated Terence Crawford, right? Saying things like, oh, Terence Crawford, he can fight, but he can't sell. I could have bought a house in Malibu with the amount that I'm losing on Bud fights, right? Bob told you this. Everybody was like, oh, that's just Bob hating. Oh, he's mad because Crawford's finna leave him. What Bob said, and he said Crawford was hard to deal with, you are now seeing. Terence Crawford has this level of entitlement seldom seen. His claim to fame to me is the accolades. Yes, you're a 2X undisputed. No one had done that. Who cares, right? That's cool for a personal thing. You'll be in the history books for that. Cool. But look at how it played out. You fought Indongo I was there. I was at the fight. You fought Indongo, some unheard of guy that just happened to have the belt. Top Rank happened to make the deal, and then you try to sue Top Rank afterwards. But they gave you the opportunity. The WBO belt is widely considered the Top Rank belt. So after Undisputed, being with Top Rank was to your benefit because you moved to welterweight. Your first fight was a title shot against a guy that really didn't beat Pacquiao and Jeff Horn. And then you beat him, so then you became a champion. And then you babysat the belt, fought less than competition, particularly at the welterweight division, or maybe some names like Khan and Porter and Brook, who were big names in the division or in the sport, but not when you fought them. They weren't on this like crazy tear. Sean Porter was on a 400+ day layoff, right? And he was coming off of the pandemic and fighting against a random like German dude on Fox. Kell Brook was a 54-pounder and he had to crunch down for the payday during the pandemic. David Avocado. And then the thing, and I'm glad that this article touches on it, but if you think about it, listen how poor this is for Crawford to be on his high horse, so to speak, like, oh, I only want the Canelo fight and that's it. Turkey Al-Sheikh said, I'll give you the Virgil Ortiz fight. The funny thing is, I would actually favor Crawford to beat Virgil Ortiz. However, I still would want to see it because we can't sleep on Virgil Ortiz. He is strong. He showed you crazy heart in his last fight. If you ever doubted that Virgil Ortiz has heart, look no further than the Boacek fight. So that is a good fight because you look at a guy like Crawford. Some people think he's chinny. He got hurt by Gamboa. And at 54, he looked more human. So you only want the highest max payout in the sport of boxing for you. That's a realistic fight, which is Canelo. So that's it. Virgil Ortiz would be a good fight. It would be something that you could sell. Virgil Ortiz has the WBC interim belt, right? And you rather say Canelo or bust. That doesn't look good. You said you would give him a dream off a rematch. Then now Eddie Hearn and people close to the situation are saying you might retire and sit on the shelf. Crawford has been fighting one time a year for the last 4 or 5 years. So I agree with this article. This is everything that I've been saying regarding Crawford. You guys can say, oh, this is the Bud Hate channel and all that. I'm not moved by that. I don't care. I'm not going to have a different opinion because you're too thin-skinned and you're such a beta male that you can't ingest the information being given. But strength is in numbers, and I think more and more people are going to see. Terence Crawford babysat the WBO belt, fought not the big name welterweights until he got to Errol Spence. And then now when it should be on and cracking for your career because you beat Errol Spence, you wait. You tried to. I think Crawford is stubborn. So I think Crawford was trying to prove myself and other people wrong. Like Bob Arum, who said that Terence Crawford, he's not the greatest with media and promotion. So for the Errol Spence fight, I think there was an uptick. He stepped it up a little bit. He stepped up his media for that particular fight. Then shortly after, he did a parade. He went to the Breakfast Club. So he was still doing some podcasts. So like, okay, maybe he's turned a new leaf. But it's hard to keep the mask on without the mask slipping, right? And that's exactly what happened. Terence Crawford fell right back into his hermit ways. And then shortly after the Errol Spence, it was out of sight, out of mind. You did a parade, did a couple press conferences, worked with some fighters behind the scenes and, things like that, was hooping, playing basketball. Then he fell out of the public's mind, out of sight, out of mind, until the Madrimov fight, which you guys didn't promote. And then had the audacity to say the Madrimov fight feels bigger than the Errol Spence fight, which end up losing over $10 million. So nobody believes you, right? And then now you have interesting fights more so than ever before as a free agent, which is, it seems like this is what you want. Like imagine someone being an inmate, being in prison, and they say all they want is their freedom and they want to be able to go to the mall, go get a cheeseburger because they're cooped up in the penitentiary. Then they finally get out, free man, and then you just sit in the house all day. You said you wanted to get a job. You said you wanted to go to the park. Now you're just sitting in the house. This is an analogy for you guys to help you understand. Crawford got to a point where he's not tethered to anybody. You're not under a long-term contract with Top Rank. You didn't sign a multi-fight deal with PBC. You have some freedom to play. And even if you don't fight the PBC guys, which I don't think they'll give you, but you still got some pretty good options just by working with Turki Al-Sheikh and working on DAZN outside of Canelo, right? Because we don't know what happens Canelo Berlanga. You can fight Virgil Ortiz or Boots or a Madrimov rematch, and these are all very good fights, local fights, localized fights. Crawford, if this is true and he's really thinking about hanging him up, it's a sad end to me. It's a sad end because you have never been the biggest star. You've never done these crazy numbers, and then now you want to erase that and rewrite history and all of a sudden be the in-demand it guy. You're not doing any of the steps. You're not going out of your way. Canelo Alvarez is far more accomplished than Terence Crawford. Let's be real. If you look and pit Canelo's resume versus Crawford's resume, two different things. Canelo's resume destroys. He fought Floyd, Austin Trout, 3 Golovkin fights, Bevo. I mean, it's no comparison, people. Shane Mosley, he got Cotto. I mean, I could keep doing. We ain't done enough. Erislandy Lara, who's just about to fight Danny Garcia, is still relevant. Look at most of the guys that Crawford fought. What happened after them? Where's Kell Brook? What happened to Felix Diaz? What happened to Victor Postal? No one even really went on to be relevant after Crawford fought him. John Molina, he's a cop now. He's a sheriff. So you don't even have no win that really aged well. Errol Spence hasn't been back in the ring, so we don't know how he'll look, right? That's the reality of it. You know what I mean? So now that you're a free agent, it seems like you would be happy, but then now I feel like Crawford, his angle is, I've done so much. I'm so far ahead of these guys. I made good money. All these fights are beneath me unless it's a Canelo. Like, I need a Canelo fight to really get up. But you didn't need that. You didn't need such a high caliber name like Canelo to get up and take BOK Prime's money and probably bankrupt them to fight David Avocado. But now, you know, a Boots fight and a Virgil Ortiz fight, it's not worth my time. It's not worth the training camp. But Kell Brook, when both of his eyes were messed up and he suffered from depression after the Golovkin, hey, no, guys. Hey, Max, guys, nothing. Right? Kell Brook was worth the training camp and worth getting up for. And Podcast Porter and David Avocado and Errol Spence post-crack, all these fights you could get up for. But then you look at a Virgil Ortiz and Jaron Ennis, young, strapping, stud type of fighters. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not inactive. They're not getting chinned. They're not coming off a loss. They're not getting shot in the leg like Jose Benavidez, or when Kell Brook got stabbed in the leg and had both his eyes messed up in the Errol and Triple G fight. There's no handicaps. Crawford has been fighting so many matches where a person had some type of handicap. Benavidez shot in the leg. Kell Brook stabbed in the leg. Both eyes was messed up from those two fights. Sean Porter, inactive, had already lost to, he's like one fight probably removed from the Errol Spence loss. No longer a champion. This is the status. Amir Khan, one fight, two fight removed from Canelo bodying him. I mean, everybody knows what Canelo did to Amir Khan. Stop playing with me, right? And then now you're too good for these fights that are way better than many of the other fights you fought in the past. So I feel like that's looking very shaky, baby. Say what you want in the comment section.